Y'all, this nigga got me so fucked up. Like, I just woke up. I'm talking about 20 messages back to back, screenshots. This nigga talking about you, this and that, this and that. Like, man, this nigga a whole 11 years older than me. I'm 17, he 28. What the fuck is you doing on Facebook? Over here trying to, you feel me? Like, you make yourself look stupid. This nigga mad because I don't want to come over his house because he got fleas. Like, I really need a brother so he can go over there and beat his ass. Like, this nigga don't got no car. He don't got no house. He live with his sister and his mama. The fuck? Like, I'm not about to keep doing this with the same nigga. Like, this nigga already fucking...
At 8 p.m. on October 2, 2018, a 911 call rang out in Dayton, Ohio. A woman's voice was shaking as she frantically called for help because she and a friend were in danger. A gun had just been pointed at them. The caller was LaShonda Childs, 17, a high school student known for her cheerful and ambitious nature. Just minutes earlier, she and her friend had gotten into a heated argument with Trendell Lamont Goodwin, 28, the ex-boyfriend she had been trying to get away from. After that call, the car carrying LaShonda drove away, leaving behind tense moments that had yet to subside. What happened in that short period of time not only ended a peaceful evening in Dayton, but also opened a chain of events that haunted family, friends, and the community. What made the October 2 call remarkable was not just its urgency, but also what it revealed: signs of an unequal relationship, warnings that had been present but not enough to change the outcome. From the moment LaShonda dialed 911, the question arose: why had previous safeguards not prevented a threat that had repeatedly surfaced? And what had caused the 17-year-old to face her greatest fear on a seemingly ordinary night? LaShonda Childs and Trendell Lamont Goodwin's relationship lasted for more than a year before it turned tragic. During that time, there were many conflicts between them, to the point that LaShonda's family had to call the police several times. Public court records also show that restraining orders were issued to protect her. However, those measures, which only existed on paper, were not enough to bridge the fragile gap between LaShonda and the danger she faced. On the evening of October 2, 2018, while LaShonda was walking with her new boyfriend, they accidentally bumped into Trendell again at the intersection of Mama and Shoup Streets in Dayton, Ohio. The unexpected situation quickly caused the atmosphere to become tense. An argument broke out in the middle of the residential area, attracting the attention of people around. In that chaotic moment, LaShonda picked up the phone and called 911. During the call, she was both panicked and trying to stay calm to provide information. LaShonda made it clear that a man with a weapon was threatening her, and gave the exact name and description of Trendell Lamont Goodwin. This detail confirmed that she was clearly aware of the danger before her, as well as evidence that she tried to call for help at the crucial moment. After calling the operator, LaShonda and her boyfriend quickly left, hoping that the distance would help them escape the tense situation. But before they could reach safety, the car was approached again. Just minutes after the call, Trendell appeared right outside. In a brief moment, the situation escalated so quickly that no one had time to react. LaShonda was seriously injured in the car. The chaos caused everything to happen quickly, leaving her boyfriend, who was with her, in a state of shock. He immediately reported the situation and called for help, starting a chain of emergency responses from the authorities. Meanwhile, Dayton police quickly took action. Information from the 911 call, combined with initial witness statements in the Mama and Shoup area, helped them quickly direct the investigation. On October 2, authorities tracked down and arrested Trendell Lamont Goodwin at another address in the city. The urgent arrest reflected the determination of the authorities to control the situation and ensure community safety. Looking back at the entire situation, it's not hard to see that the warning signs were there all along. The restraining orders, The repeated reports of concerns from Lashonda and her family, and the repeated police interventions all pointed to a long-standing dysfunctional relationship. However, all of these were just warnings, not enough to stop it at its root. From the moment Lashonda called 911 to being loaded onto a stretcher, it all happened in a very short time. The tragedy on the evening of October 2, 2018, not only robbed her of her 18th birthday, but also exposed the gap between the legal system and reality, where a restraining order remains powerless in the face of bigotry and personal obsession. After tensions flared at the intersection of Mama and Shoop on the evening of October 2, 2018, her boyfriend immediately took Lashonda away to seek emergency medical help. This decision marked a turning point, turning the incident from a personal conflict into a serious crime. At the same time, the 911 system triggered a chain reaction from the data Lashonda provided. With information about the suspect's location and identity, police quickly deployed forces to the area while coordinating with medical units. The first minutes became the foundation for the subsequent processing and investigation. At the hospital, the medical team was alerted to the emergency situation. When the ambulance arrived at the emergency area, Lashonda was immediately taken to the treatment room. Her initial condition was recorded as extremely critical with a poor prognosis from the start. Doctors performed all necessary resuscitation measures, but the specific details of her injuries were not released to the public out of respect and humanity. From the moment Lashonda was admitted to the hospital, the incident quickly went beyond the scope of a normal emergency. Police were present at the hospital to coordinate with medical staff, recording information from her boyfriend who had just witnessed the whole incident and brought her here. With initial statements and data from the 911 call, the authorities officially confirmed this was not just an accident, but a case that needed to be handled as a major criminal case. Lashonda's family was quickly informed of her condition. Within hours, her parents and relatives were at the hospital, facing a crushing shock. They knew she was just 2 days away from turning 18, a milestone that marks adulthood, but now that fragile hope was being put to the test in the emergency room. Meanwhile, police continued to narrow down the address associated with Trendell Lamont Goodwin. With data from multiple sources, they launched a manhunt in parallel with the medical process. It was this chain of emergency response from the 911 call, the police dispatch, to the quick decision to get the victim to the hospital that allowed the incident to be discovered and handled promptly in a short period of time. On the evening of October 2, 2018, the normally peaceful neighborhood of Mama and Shoop Streets in Dayton, Ohio, suddenly became the center of attention. An argument between Lashonda Childs, her new boyfriend, and Trendell Lamont Goodwin quickly led to police cordoning off the area just minutes after a 911 call was made. By the time officers arrived, the car carrying Lashonda had already left for the hospital, but enough evidence was left to begin the evidence-gathering process. The scene showed a clear disturbance. Residents said they heard an argument before the car left, and surveillance cameras and witnesses confirmed the timing and direction of travel. Police cordoned off the road to gather details, making it a key piece of the legal puzzle. While the scene was secured, the medical examiner was notified to prepare for the arrival of the patient. At the hospital, Lashonda was listed in critical condition. Despite the efforts of doctors to save her, she died on October 4, 2018, just hours before her 18th birthday. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be a gunshot wound, according to medical records, court documents, and local news reports. The reports did not go into technical details out of respect for the family, but were sufficient to form the legal basis for the case. In the investigation file, important evidence comes not only from forensic results, but also from other objective data. Notably, the 911 call at 8 p.m. on October 2, where Lashonda directly provided Trendell Goodwin's name, age, and identifying characteristics and confirmed the presence of a weapon. Every word on the tape became clear evidence, showing that she was aware of the level of danger and accurately identified the person involved. Additionally, eyewitness testimony in the neighborhood added another piece to the puzzle. Several people claimed to have seen Goodwin acting as the car carrying LaShonda began to drive away. These details matched the timing of the 911 call and the location of the car leaving the scene, forming a solid chain of events. Security cameras in the area also recorded unusual movement around that time, further bolstering the case. As investigators pieced together all the evidence, from 911 recordings, forensics, crime scene evidence, and witness statements, a clear picture emerged. This was no longer a hazy, uncertain situation. It all pointed in the same direction, a targeted act in a Dayton neighborhood that resulted in LaShonda's fatal injuries and ended with her death 2 days later. The case quickly evolved from an emergency report into a well-founded criminal case. This evidence would then play a central role in the trial, ensuring that the facts at the intersection of Mama and Shoop on the evening of October 2, 2018, were accurately recreated in the courtroom. As soon as the emergency signal was sent out on the evening of October 2, 2018, Dayton police quickly identified a suspect. In the 911 call, LaShonda Childs clearly stated her name, characteristics, and relationship to Trendell Lamont Goodwin, 28. When arriving at the intersection of Mama and Shoop, traces at the scene and witness statements reinforced the opinion that Goodwin was directly involved. On the night of October 2, police tracked Goodwin down in Dayton and quickly arrested him. The news spread, making the community feel more secure that the main suspect was no longer at large. Shortly after, a temporary arrest was made, and Goodwin was transferred to the Montgomery County Jail to await trial. At the same time, prosecutors began drafting a preliminary indictment. When the case was handed to the district attorney, 3 main charges quickly emerged: taking LaShonda's life, causing serious injury, and possessing a weapon when prohibited by law. The simultaneous prosecution of all 3 showed the legal system's determination to leave no room for Goodwin to escape accountability. When Goodwin's identity was made public, the local press was quick to rehash his past. The local press was quick to rehash Goodwin's checkered past. Over the years, his name appeared in police records, with nearly 15 arrests or jail stays. Most were for violence and criminal activity, a string of red flags the Dayton community has never forgotten. Although not all of his crimes resulted in heavy fines, the frequency with which his name appeared in police records was still puzzling. Why did someone with such a long criminal record continue to pose a threat? In the following months, investigators focused on building their case. The most important piece of evidence was the 911 call in which LaShonda named Goodwin just before leaving the intersection. The camera footage and witness statements matched the car's time and route, creating a consistent, hard-to-reject chain of evidence. The medical examiner's report and the official court record confirming the cause of death as a gunshot wound are the pieces of the medical puzzle that piece together the entire story from the neighborhood dispute to LaShonda's death at Kettering Health Dayton on October 4, 2018. Testimony from LaShonda's new boyfriend, who was present during the entire incident, became a crucial cog in the coffin. He provided a first-hand account of the argument, the getaway car, and the moment LaShonda was critically injured. Combined with witnesses from the neighborhood, this string of testimony closed the gap in the case, giving the case the consistency it needed. In September 2019, as his jury trial loomed, Goodwin unexpectedly opted to plead guilty. He admitted to taking life, causing serious injury, and unlawful possession of a weapon, indicating that he understood the evidence was too strong to withstand. Sources like the Dayton Daily News and WEO TV both credited the decision as a testament to the strength of the case that police and prosecutors had been building for nearly a year.
Goodwin's victim and ex-girlfriend posted to social media several times before her death, sharing that she was afraid of her abuser, Goodwin. Now, the YWCA of Dayton is working to make sure that others like LaShonda Childs can be protected by law from their abusers.
The investigation into LaShonda Childs has not only indicted an individual, but has also sparked a social conversation. The Dayton community is reminded that signs of relationship violence should be taken seriously and addressed early. After his arrest in October 2018, Trendell Lamont Goodwin's case quickly moved into the prosecution stage. With the evidence that had been built up during the investigation from LaShonda Childs' 911 call, witness testimony, to forensic results, the prosecution determined that this was a high-profile case and should be brought to trial in Ohio State Court. In September 2019, as his jury trial approached, Goodwin took a significant legal step. He pleaded guilty to 3 main charges: murder, felonious assault, and unlawful use of a weapon. The move was seen as a result of pressure from a tight case file, which made facing a jury more likely to result in a harsher sentence. However, as the court was about to announce its verdict, Goodwin unexpectedly withdrew his guilty plea, citing his desire for a public trial. This request was made in late 2019, but was rejected by the judge in January 2020. According to WEO TV7 and WEO Radio, the court affirmed that the previous guilty plea was valid, had a defense attorney, and had enough time to consider. Allowing the withdrawal at this time would affect the stability of the procedural system. On January 9, 2020, the Montgomery County Court officially announced the verdict. Trendell Lamont Goodwin received a sentence of 18 years to life. This is a common sentence in Ohio murder cases, reflecting the balance between a severe punishment and the opportunity for parole or probation to be considered in the distant future. In addition to the prison sentence, the court ordered Goodwin to reimburse funeral expenses and contribute to a victim fund, easing the burden on LaShonda's family. The community saw this as a form of additional justice. Goodwin later appealed, but the appeals court affirmed the validity of the guilty plea and upheld the 18-to-life sentence. The LaShonda Childs case ended with Trendell Goodwin's conviction, but left Dayton and the state of Ohio with the question: how can the law better protect victims of risky relationships? The January 9, 2020, hearing showed that despite numerous warnings, tragedy was inevitable. While it cannot bring LaShonda back, the verdict affirms the responsibility of the legal system and sends a message that repeat behavior will no longer be ignored. LaShonda Childs passed away on October 4, 2018, just 2 days before her 18th birthday. Her dreams of graduation and a bright future were cut short, leaving her family, friends, and the Dayton community with irreparable pain. Her name became a bitter reminder that relationship violence is never a small matter. The tragedy also raises questions about the effectiveness of enforcement of safeguards. At the same time, it is a wake-up call about teen dating safety. Early education about boundaries, respect for rights, and how to seek support is essential. Since the case, many Dayton schools and community organizations have cited LaShonda as an example to raise awareness among youth and parents. But the big question remains: when there were so many warning signs, why was the tragedy not prevented? What needs to be improved in the law, in the supervision of the authorities, or in the community responsibility? The verdict closed the case legally, but the echoes still linger. LaShonda's death is a call to action for society to act together, so that the warnings are no longer ignored and so that similar tragedies are not repeated.